My sister slapped me in front of 200 wedding guests for refusing to surrender my penthouse. Fortunately for me, one of those guests was a judge. The champagne flute trembled in my hand, a tiny, crystalline betrayal of the storm raging inside me. I watched my sister, Sabrina, glide across the expansive marble floor of the Ritz-Carlton ballroom, a vision in her custom Verawang gown. 200 guests had gathered to witness her fairy tale wedding to Derek, a wealthy investment banker she'd known for only 8 months. The irony was not lost on me. She was marrying for financial security while coveting what I had built with my own hands. I am Vivian, 32 years old, and I have clawed my way to every achievement I own. While Sabrina spent her 20s drifting between fleeting passions and partners, I was buried in law school texts, then grinding through 70-hour weeks at a top Manhattan firm. 5 years ago, I gambled everything to start my own practice. That gamble paid off. Last year, a landmark settlement allowed me to purchase a penthouse overlooking Central Park, a sanctuary that my family now viewed as communal property. Vivian, darling, you look absolutely radiant. My mother, Diane, approached with a saccharine smile she reserved for negotiations. Her silver hair was impeccably styled, her navy gown likely costing more than the average monthly rent. We need to have a little family chat. My stomach tightened. In the Morrison family, those words were a harbinger of doom. Mom, it's Sabrina's wedding day. Can't this wait? Actually, no. My father, Robert, materialized beside her, his expression stern. At 58, he was still an imposing figure, but his eyes held the familiar disappointment that had been my constant companion since childhood. We've been discussing your living situation. I set down my champagne, needing both hands free for whatever was coming. My living situation? What about it? Well, honey, Mom began, her voice dripping with false warmth. You know Sabrina and Derek are starting their family. They'll need more space than Derek's little apartment. They're not even pregnant yet, Mom. But we will be soon. Sabrina's voice cut through our small circle as she joined us, Derek's arm anchored around her waist. At 28, with her auburn hair and emerald eyes, she was the picture of a blushing bride, but her smile was a calculated blade. We're starting to try right away. Congratulations, I said, my guard firmly up. I'm sure you'll find a lovely home. We have, Sabrina replied, her smile widening. We want your penthouse. The air left my lungs. Excuse me. Now, Vivian, before you get defensive. Dad interjected with that patronizing tone he mistook for reason. Think logically. You're a single woman. You don't need that space. Sabrina and Derek are building a future. They need room for children. You want me to give you my home? The words felt foreign, absurd. Not give, Mom corrected hastily. Trade. You could take Derek's apartment. It's perfectly adequate for one person. A 600-square-foot studio in Queens. I asked, incredulous. You want me to trade my 3-bedroom penthouse on the Upper West Side for a studio? Vivian, don't be dramatic, Sabrina scoffed. It's not like you use all that space. What do you need 3 bedrooms for? You don't even have a boyfriend. The bar found its mark as intended. Sabrina had always been the golden child, her flakiness romanticized as finding herself, her instability labeled exploring options. My dedication was antisocial, my ambition reckless, and my success, when it came, was treated as a fortunate accident. I need those bedrooms because it is my home, I said, my voice gaining a sharp edge. I earned it. I paid for it. I am not giving it up. Vivian Elizabeth Morrison. My mother's voice turned to steel. That is incredibly selfish. Family comes first. Always. Family. A bitter laugh escaped me. When have you ever treated me like family? When I needed help studying for the bar, you said I was being antisocial. When I started my firm and struggled, you called me reckless. The second I have something you want for Sabrina, suddenly I'm family? That's not true, Dad said, but the words were hollow. Isn't it? When was the last time any of you asked about my life, my career, my happiness? But the moment I possess something you covet, I'm back in the fold. Sabrina stepped forward, her face flushing with venom. You know what your problem is, Vivian. You've always been jealous of me. You can't stand that I'm getting married, that I'm going to have the family you'll probably never have. I'm not jealous of you, Sabrina. I'm disappointed in you. Disappointed. She let out a harsh, ugly laugh. I'm the one getting married. I'm the one who will give mom and dad grandchildren. What have you done besides make money? I've built a life, I said, my voice low and steady. I've worked for every single thing I have. I have never asked any of you for a thing. Well, we're asking now, my father stated, his voice firm and final. Your sister needs that penthouse more than you do. It's time you did something for this family instead of just for yourself. Robert is right, Mom chimed in, her voice rising to a shrill pitch. Selfish children don't deserve success. You've had everything handed to you, and now you won't even help your own sister. The accusation was so ludicrous it stole my breath. Handed to me? I worked 3 jobs to pay for law school. I lived on ramen for 2 years building my practice. I never took a dime from you. Your sister's children need real homes. Dad boomed, his voice carrying across the ballroom. Several guests turned to stare. Not some cramped apartment. They deserve better. They haven't even been conceived yet. I protested, but I was fighting a tidal wave. Their narrative was a force of nature. Sabrina moved closer, her voice dropping to a venomous whisper. You know what, Vivian? I'm done pretending to care about your feelings. I've always known I was the better daughter. I'm prettier. I'm more likable. I'm the one who makes mom and dad proud. And now, I'm finally getting what I've always deserved. The air crackled around us. The wedding guests had begun to encircle us, a murmuring, eager audience. And what exactly is it that you deserve, Sabrina? Everything, she said, her eyes gleaming. The penthouse, the respect, the life you've been hoarding. I deserve it all, and I'm finally going to get it. Over my dead body. The slap was instantaneous, a stinging crack that echoed off the high ceilings. For a heartbeat, there was absolute silence. 200 people froze. Then, the laughter began. It started as a few snickers from Sabrina's friends, then rippled through the crowd like a contagion. Strangers pointed, their whispers sharp and judgmental. Did you see that? Serves her right. So stuck up. My cheek burned, a brand of their collective contempt. But I did not cry. I would not grant them that satisfaction. I stood perfectly still, absorbing the weight of their ridicule. Sabrina smiled, triumphant. Maybe now you'll start acting like a real sister. My parents stood behind her, a silent, complicit wall. They did not apologize. They did not intervene. They simply watched, waiting for my surrender. And in that moment, something fundamental shattered and then reformed inside me. This was not about a penthouse. This was a lesson in hierarchy, a public reminder that my role was to provide, to sacrifice, to know my place. They had made one catastrophic miscalculation. They had humiliated me in front of 200 witnesses, including some of the most powerful and connected people in New York. My hand was steady as I reached into my clutch and retrieved my phone. Vivian, what are you doing? Mom asked, a note of unease piercing her anger. I ignored her, my fingers flying across the screen. Vivian, put that away, Dad commanded. You're embarrassing yourself. No, I said, my voice calm and clear. I am not the one who should be embarrassed. Sabrina lunged for the phone, but I sidestepped her, my thumb hitting send as her fingers grazed my wrist. What did you do? She hissed, her triumph morphing into confusion. I looked at her, at my parents, at the sea of amused faces. I chose my revenge, the one that will silence you all forever. My phone buzzed once, then again, then erupted into a continuous vibration. Vivian, what did you send? Mom's voice was shrill with panic. I offered her the first genuine smile I'd felt all night. A message to my group chat, the one with my lawyer friends, the journalists I've worked with, the business contacts who actually matter in this city. Sabrina's face went pale. What kind of message? Just an update. How my family demanded I surrender my home. How my mother declared that selfish children don't deserve success. How my father claimed my sister's hypothetical children needed my apartment more than I did. I paused, letting the silence deepen. And how my sister assaulted me in front of 200 people when I refused. I also mentioned how everyone laughed. The ballroom was utterly silent now. Even the string quartet had stopped playing. Vivian, you will delete that right now. Dad's voice was a low, dangerous growl. Delete the truth? It's too late. It's already been shared, reposted, screenshotted. You know how it works, Dad. My phone vibrated incessantly on the table, a physical manifestation of a story spiraling out of their control. You vindictive bitch. Sabrina shrieked, her composure crumbling. No, Sabrina. I'm just done being your doormat. Derek, who had been silent throughout, finally spoke. Vivian, maybe we can talk about this. We didn't mean for it to go this far. I looked at him with genuine pity. You married into the wrong family, Derek. Do you know who Judge Margaret Chin is? She was here tonight. She saw everything. She just texted me her disgust. Sabrina's face turned a sickly green. And David Rodriguez from the Times? He's been trying to interview me about my latest case. He witnessed the entire spectacle. He's asking if I want to comment on how successful women are treated by their families. Vivian, stop, my mother pleaded. You're ruining Sabrina's wedding. Sabrina ruined it the moment she laid a hand on me. In front of a judge. And a reporter. My phone rang again. I glanced at the screen. Oh, interesting. It's Amanda Walsh from Walsh & Associates. High-profile reputation management. She's offering her services pro bono. The term reputation management hung in the air, a death knell for their social standing. Vivian, please, Sabrina whispered, tears welling in her eyes. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hit you. I was just upset. You're sorry there are consequences, I corrected coldly. You're not sorry for what you did. I am. I'll apologize publicly. I'll tell everyone it was a mistake. It's too late for that. The damage is done. And it was. I could see the shift in the crowd. The laughter had been replaced by uneasy whispers and stares of condemnation. The social tide had turned. What do you want? Dad asked, defeat hollowing out his voice. I want you to leave me alone, I stated, my voice ringing with finality. All of you. Stop treating me like an ATM. Stop demanding I sacrifice my life for Sabrina's whims. Stop using the word family as a weapon to extort me. Vivian, we are family, Mom whimpered. No, we are not. Family supports each other. They celebrate each other's successes. They treat each other with respect. You have never done that for me. My phone buzzed again, a text from my assistant. Vivian, TMZ is calling. They want to know if you're the lawyer assaulted at the Ritz wedding. What should I tell them? I held up the screen for all to see. TMZ. This is about to become a national story. Sabrina broke down, her sobs echoing in the hushed ballroom. Vivian, please. This is my wedding day. Don't do this. I'm not doing anything, Sabrina. I am simply refusing to be your victim any longer. What can we do? Derek begged. How do we fix this? I looked at him, then at my parents, and finally at my weeping sister in her ruined wedding dress. You can't. This is who you are. You take, and you take until there is nothing left. And when someone finally says no, you attack them for it. The ballroom was emptying now, guests fleeing the scene of a social shipwreck. The penthouse is mine, I said, my voice quiet but absolute. I earned it. I paid for it. I am keeping it. If you want a nice home, Sabrina, get a job. Work for it like I did. I can't believe you're doing this to me, she choked out. I can't believe it took me this long. As I turned to leave, my father grabbed my arm. Vivian, wait. We can work this out. Counseling, mediation, anything. I looked down at his hand, then met his gaze. Let go of me. He released me as if burned. There is nothing to work out. You made your choice. You chose Sabrina, just like you always have. You chose her convenience over my hard work, her demands over my boundaries. And when she assaulted me, you stood by and watched. We didn't know she would hit you. Mom cried. But you didn't stop her. You didn't check if I was okay. You just watched. I walked toward the exit, my heels clicking a final, decisive rhythm on the marble. Behind me, I heard the wreckage of their lives. Sabrina's hysterical sobs, my mother's frantic whispers, my father's furious muttering. I did not look back. At the door, I turned for one last time. The fairy tale wedding was now a public spectacle of shame. You know the tragic part? I said, my voice carrying across the ruin of their evening. If you had come to me with respect, if you had treated me like a person you loved instead of a resource you owned, I would have helped you. I would have helped you find a beautiful home. I might have even helped with the down payment. The silence that followed was more devastating than any laughter. But you didn't ask. You demanded. You insulted me. You assaulted me. So now you get nothing. I walked out of the Ritz-Carlton and into the crisp night air, leaving the chaos behind. The story, as I knew it would, exploded. The video went viral. The hashtags #wedding-slap and #penthouse drama trended. Page 6 ran the story with the photo of the slap. In the weeks that followed, the consequences were swift and severe. Sabrina was fired from her PR job. Derek faced an ethics review at his firm. My parents were quietly ostracized from their social circles. My law practice, however, flourished. I became known as the lawyer who wouldn't be bullied, and clients respected that. 6 months later, Sabrina and Derek divorced. The pressure had shattered their fragile marriage. She moved back in with our parents, whose own lives had contracted under the weight of their exposed toxicity. I never got my family back, but I realized I never truly had one. I had a group of people who saw me as a means to an end. The penthouse remained mine. I turned one spare bedroom into a library and the other into a guest room for real friends, people who valued me for who I was, not what I could give them. Sometimes, in the quiet of my home, I remember the sound of that slap, the roar of the laughter, the sting of betrayal. I had chosen a revenge that was not violent or illegal. It was simply the truth unleashed. I showed the world who they really were, and that was a silence from which they could never recover. They never asked me for anything again. And in the end, I learned that the most powerful revenge is not retaliation. It is reclaiming your power, setting your boundaries, and walking away without a backward glance. It is the profound, peaceful silence that remains when you finally stop the noise of their demands. It is enough. It is everything.